Welcome students. So in the process of learning about the technical analysis, we will be talking about now the further important components. And the next component which is important in the technical analysis is the product mix. Right. So we have to see, we have to understand the product mix which is going to come out of the project. Are we going to manufacture only one product, or maybe we are going to manufacture the multiple products, or are we going to decide something on the basis of certain parameters about the product mix? So all these things are important for us. So actually product mix is guided by the market requirements or by the requirements of the people. So if we are the new into this particular area, particular industry, so we may start with one single product and one single variant even. We are not going to have more variants or more maybe the models of the product or something like that. We are going to just start the manufacturing, introduce the product in the market, and then we will have to later on decide about what would be the product mix, or maybe we want to add some more products. So which products to be added, which will be dropped. So that issue will be decided, but at the later part, not in the beginning. And especially in case of the startups, they do not have the choice of going for the product mix. They will have to decide only one product which they are going to manufacture and to sell in the market, and later on if it becomes a successful maybe venture or the process, then they can add some more products, and then they can maybe on the basis of certain parameters, maybe the contribution, the products giving different kind of the contributions, the products are giving profit to volume ratio, the products are giving and contributing, or maybe on the break even point certain parameters are there. So it may be contribution, it may be PV ratio, it may be the break even point. So on the basis of certain parameters, some products can be added, some products can be dropped, but that's at a very later stage. Initially we start with only one thing, and that one thing is the one product which we are going to manufacture. Even we are not going to add multiple variants of the product. But later on we have to keep the scope that later on if we want to add more products in our product line, or maybe the multiple variants of one single product, in that case what is going to happen, and have we kept the scope for this kind of the addition later on or at the later stage, because market may like your product and you may like to introduce the multiple similar products and maybe the multiple variants of a single product. So in this situation, we will have to find out that in the production of the most of the items, that variation in the size and quality are aimed at satisfying the broad range of the customers. So we have to come out with the different variants. Maybe some company, there is some company which is manufacturing the electric fans, or maybe the table fans, or maybe the ceiling fans. So they manufacture different kind of the models, different kind of the variants as per the requirements of the people. So as per the paying capacity of the people, as per the requirements of the people or requirements of the market, different kind of the products are brought into the market. Similarly, in the consumer products also, take the example of maybe the companies who are manufacturing these chips, potato chips. So they come out with a different kind of the variants of the chips, and maybe they are differentiating it on the basis of the taste, color, packaging, and sometime, not always, but sometime on the basis of the pricing also. So people like different tastes, different colors, and different packaging processes. So they create the variation in that kind of the products also. So we have to decide about that, what kind of the product we are going to manufacture. Are we going to add some more variants or the more products in the product line, and what would be the basis of deciding the product mix? May not be today immediately, but later on you have to have the scope for the product mix. Next important thing is that while planning the production facilities of the firm, some flexibility with respect to the product mix must be sought. That's why I am telling you that we have to be very flexible. We have to keep the things open. We have to keep the things adjusting in the future, so that at any point of time some addition and deletion in the production line is required to be done. We are able to do that, and finally we are able to come out or maybe retain the product mix which is going to be the best and which is going to give the best value to the customers. Only then the firms can sustain in the market and they can continue with the production process. Next important component in the technical analysis is the plant capacity. It's a very, very important component, because it has the multiple, say you call it as the dimensions. First important dimension is the investment required to be made in building the plant, right? If you go for building the plant which is having a bigger capacity, right? And as per that, the market is not there. So what will happen as a result of that means we have made more investment into the plant and machinery. We have means created a capacity in the plant which is too much, and that much of the market is not there. So sometime a larger part of the capacity may remain underutilized or not utilized, or we are not able to make proper use of the capacity. And we all understand that as the capacity utilization increases, it has the very positive multiplier impact. It reduces the cost of the production, it reduces the say efficiency, say you call it as the deficiency of the products, and the major impact is upon the cost. So the cost part is very, very important. So when you talk about the plant capacity, maybe you call it as, which refers to the volume or the number of units that can be manufactured during a given period of time. That is called as the plant capacity. And in the plant capacity, when you talk about the plant capacity, it can be decided or it can be understood in two ways, or the plant capacity can be defined in two different ways. One way is the feasible normal capacity, and second thing is the nominal maximum capacity. When you talk about the plant capacity, we normally focus upon this particular part, feasible normal capacity, though there is a nominal maximum capacity of the plant, but all the times it is not possible to use the maximum capacity of the plant. So we will have to go for using the normal capacity, which is feasible to be used, because number of say constants are there. There may be the constant of the say availability of the raw material, or maybe the power supply, water supply, maybe the availability of the skilled labor who can run or who can work on the plant. So number of factors are there, and most limiting factor in a country like India is the power. Power is not available for 24 hours. So in that case, we cannot use the nominal maximum capacity. We have to go to the feasible normal capacity, and we have to use that capacity which is normal capacity and possible to be utilized in the given period of time. Maybe that is 18 hours a day or 20 hours a day, because power is a limiting factor. Sometimes water is a limiting factor. Or if these factors are not limiting factor, even there is no demand in the market of the total production coming out of that plant or that production process. So plant capacity has to be decided depending upon the number of aspects. And first thing is the requirement of the product in the market, how much you can produce and how much you can sell in the market. That's a important consideration. Second thing is that all inputs required for utilizing the plant to the fullest capacity. Is the power available? Is the water available? Is the technical labor available? All these things we have to bear in mind. So it's seldom possible to use the nominal maximum capacity of the plant. Normally when you talk about the plant capacity, we talk about the feasible normal capacity. And in the feasible normal capacity, while deciding the feasible normal capacity, several factors have a bearing on the capacity decisions. Several factors have a bearing on the capacity decisions. So these factors are, which are listed out here. These factors are: number one, technological requirements, input constraints, investment cost, then we have the market conditions, then we have the resources of the firm, and the government policy, right. So all these things are important considerations, and we have to have important maybe understanding of all these aspects, because capacity decisions are not to be taken in isolation, rather they have to be taken in the light of multiple options and alternatives available. So for that purpose, we have to deal with all these aspects. So first thing is the technological requirements. What kind of the technology you are going to use, what kind of the manufacturing process you are going to use, and according to that technology, what kind of the plant is available in the market. So if it is going to be a very sophisticated technology, it may be possible that the plant capacity of that technology would be very, very high, and the minimum plant capacity would be at such a level that maybe it may not be possible to sell that much of the production in the market. So if you are not able to use the best technology because of the plant capacity or the production capacity is very high, and you have no scope to sell that much of the production in the market, so you have to change the technology. You have to use the second technology, alternative technology, where you can manage the plant capacity and the production coming out of it, and you are going to sell that product in the market. That's the one important consideration. Second important factor is the input constraints. What kind of the material this plant is going to use? Is that material available with us or not? If that material is not available with us, in that case we have to use the plant capacity, or we have to decide the plant capacity on the basis of the inputs available. So in many cases, the desired amount of the inputs are not available. Sometimes when you use the raw material, the input for getting the desired amount of the output. So it has to be is suitable to the technology of the plant we are going to use or we are using it, and all kind of the inputs cannot be used or cannot be made use of. So we have to match the plant capacity with the input also, and the kind of the raw material available, input is available, we have to decide the plant capacity accordingly. Another important consideration is the investment cost or the investment requirements. So this is a very, very important consideration. As I told you in the beginning also, if you go for the plant of a bigger capacity, right, so it will require more investment to be made, and it may be possible that that much of the, say, absorption of the product coming out of that plant is not possible in the market, or is not there in the market. People are not able to buy the product. There is no market available for that much of the output coming out of that plant. So if you are going to have the plant of a bigger capacity, you are going to make huge investment in the plant, but that much of the production requirements are not there because our market is limited. So in that case, your per unit cost will increase because of the increased investment cost. Because ultimately you have to recover this investment you are making into the plant through depreciation. So higher the investment requirements in the plant or machinery, you have to recover it in some given period of time. So for example, if the plant is costing you, say, it's a simple example, that if the plant is costing you 100,000 Indian rupees and you have to recover that investment in the 10 years, so it means every year you have to provide the depreciation for 10,000 rupees in the debit side of the profit and loss account. But if your plant capacity is bigger, or you are going to have a very sophisticated kind of the plant, and that plant is though giving us the more output, but the cost is, the investment requirement is somewhere 500,000, half a million. So in that case, and again the life of the plant is again going to be 10 years, and mostly it is going to be, because technology is the most dynamic thing, it's the most fastly changing component in any production process. So technology is changing at a very faster pace. So any technology which is requiring an investment of 100,000 and any technology which is requiring the investment of 500,000, half a million, and both are depreciable in a period of 5 years. So you can understand that if you are not able to make the proper capacity utilization, means the production coming out of it, if you are not able to sell that in the market, so what will happen? Your per unit cost will increase because your depreciation component will increase. In the one case, your depreciation component is 10,000. In the other case, your depreciation component is 5 times high, that is the 50,000 rupees per month. So what will happen? In your cost sheet, the total factory cost will increase. And when the factory cost will increase, the total cost of production will also increase. And if the number of units are not possible to be increased because of one reason or the other, it does not mean that we cannot produce. We can produce, but we are not able to sell that much of the production in the market because there is no demand. So in that case, number of units are not increasing in proportion to the capital cost or maybe the investment cost required in the plant. So in that case, it will be a big challenge, big issue. So we have to be very careful while deciding the investment cost. So to understand the investment cost requirements, we can understand with the help of this particular, say, discussion, that when serious input constraints do not exist, just mind it, what is written here, that when serious input constraints do not exist here, any kind of the inputs are available, any kind of the raw material is available, and it is as per the requirement of the plant, or it's as per the requirement of the technology we are using in the plant. So in that case, maybe if we do not have any kind of the input constraints or input restrictions, so in that situation the relationship between the capacity and investment cost is an important consideration. In that case, the relationship between the capacity and investment cost is an important consideration, and you can understand that typically the investment cost per unit of the capacity decreases. Typically the investment cost per unit of the capacity decreases as the plant capacity increases, right? Plant capacity, because if you are going to have the plant of a bigger capacity, it means more efficient technology we are going to use. It has a more efficient technology, is giving you more production. So it does not mean that the cost will proportionately increase. If you are going to have the plant of the lower capacity, smaller capacity, so it does not mean that when you increase the capacity of the plant, so the cost of that plant or maybe that investment requirement for having that plant will be doubling or maybe tripling if you increase the capacity. When the moment when the capacity increases, cost does not increase in the same proportion. So it is very clearly written here, typically the investment cost per unit of capacity decreases rather, as the plant capacity increases. Because when you are going to say having the efficient technology, efficient plants, more production is coming out of it. So within say 1 hour, some plant is giving you 100 units and some plant is giving you 1000 units. So you can understand that cost per unit will come down, will be decreasing over a period of time. And if you want to find out the relationship that exists between the plant capacity and the cost, that can be seen with the help of this model. And this model is basically, if you see this model, it is C1 is equal to C2 into Q1 divided by Q2 power alpha. So what does it mean? What this model is communicating to us? This model is helping us to understand the investment requirements as far as the plant capacity is concerned. So if you understand this derivation, you can see that what does it mean C1? C1 is basically the derived cost for Q1 units of the capacity, derived cost for the Q1 units of the capacity, and C2 is the known cost of the Q2 units of the capacity. C2 is the known cost of the Q2 units of the capacity, and alpha is basically a factor reflecting the capacity cost relationship, which usually ranges between 0.2 to 0.9, right? So with the help of this model, we can understand the moment plant capacity increases, right? How much investment requirements are increasing, how much investment cost is increasing, how much investment requirements are increasing. Is it going from say, if you are increasing the capacity from the 5,000 units to 10,000 units, is the investment requirement going to go double or it's going to be something more or less? So with the help of this model, we can understand. And normally it is also without any kind of the modeling, any kind of the mathematical calculations, you can easily understand that the investment cost per unit of the capacity decreases. Investment cost per unit of the capacity, the moment you increase the capacity, the investment cost per unit comes down, right? It doesn't proportionately increase. Doesn't mean that if you are having a plant of 5,000 units, so the cost is X amount, and maybe if you want to make it double 10,000 units, so the cost will also become double. That doesn't mean happen like that. It is not going to increase in that proportion. So with the help of an example, we can understand here that, for example, suppose the known investment cost for 5,000 units of capacity for a manufacturer of a certain item is 1 million, right? The known investment cost for 5,000 units of capacity for the manufacturer of a certain item is 1 million Indian rupees. So what will be the investment cost requirement for 10,000 units of capacity, right? If the capacity factor is 0.6. So in this case, means at the moment, what is the total say capacity of the plant? It's only the 5,000 units, maybe it's per annum. The plant is manufacturing 5,000 units, the plant capacity for a manufacturer is the 5,000 units. And if you want to double it from the 5,000 to 10,000, so how much would be the investment requirement? When it is 5,000 units plant, the total investment requirement is 1 million rupees or 10 lakh rupees, right? But when you want to double it from the 5,000 units to 10,000 units of the plant capacity, is it going to become 20 lakhs or 2 millions from the 1 million or the 10 lakhs? Let's see with the help of this model that if we put all these things in this model, so we can easily understand. So we want to find out the C1. What is the C1? C1 is basically the derived cost for the Q1 units of the capacity. So it means for this Q1 units of the capacity means in this case it is the 10,000 units we want to make it from the 5,000 units of the plant capacity. We want to make it as a 10,000 units. So that is the C1, and for that purpose, it is basically you understand that C2 is basically the known cost for the Q2 units of the capacity, and Q2 units of capacity is basically this 5,000 units. So known cost for this is the 1 million, which we already have put, which is C2 for us, and into that is the Q1. Q1 is basically the capacity which we want to have now from the 5,000 to 10,000. So Q1 is the 10,000 units and divided by the Q2, which is the existing capacity 5,000 units, and alpha we are assuming here is that is the capacity cost relationship factors here is that is the 0.6, which we say that ranges from the 0.2 to 0.9. We assume that in this case, in the present case, when you want to increase from 5,000 to 10,000 units, alpha value is 0.6. So if you solve this entire equation, you will find out the total investment requirements are 1516000. So it is 1.5 million, little more than 1.5 million Indian rupees. It's not going to be say from 10 lakhs rupees to the 20 lakh rupees, or from 1 million to the 2 million rupees. Rather, it's going to be 1.5 million, not 2 millions. So it's very clear that when you want to add up the capacity, when you want to increase the capacity of maybe the plant, the investment cost per unit doesn't increase in the same proportion, rather it decreases, right? We have written here that it doesn't increase in the same proportion, rather it decreases. So, in this case, when you are manufacturing only 5,000 units, the investment requirements are 10, say call it as the 10 lakhs or 1 million. But when you want to increase the capacity from the 5,000 units to the 10,000 units, so the investment requirements are not 20 lakhs or 2 millions, rather it is 1.5 million. So, in this case, we have very clearly written that investment cost per unit of the capacity decreases as the plant capacity increases. So, when the plant capacity is increasing from the 5,000 to 10,000, total investment cost per unit is going to go down, and finally, it is not becoming 20 lakhs or 2 millions, rather it is becoming 1.5 million rupees. So, it is not an important question that what level of the plant capacity we are going to have. We can have the plant capacity of any size, any level. These days, same as I told you many a times in the past also, manufacturing of anything is not difficult these days. Supply side has improved a lot, and after the globalization especially, the supply side has improved a lot, and firms are moving freely from the one economy to the other economy. In India also, when we had the globalization in 1991, on 24 July 1991, when we announced the say new economic policy, kind of a globalized economic policy, when India became a global economy, open economy, liberal economy, in that case, we have seen the one major effect. The major effect of the globalization of Indian economy is that supply side has improved. But as a result of this improved supply side, is there sufficient market to absorb those increased say supplies or maybe the increased production? And as a result of the increased supplies, you see the cost of the most of the products has not increased in the same proportion as it was pre-liberalization period, means pre-1991 period. Had it been a closed economy, the prices of goods and services would have been totally different today. So, number of things we have experienced after the globalization. One thing we have seen after the globalization is that supply side has improved, better quality of the products are coming up, better technology has come to the Indian market, and when improved supply is there, so the cost say per unit of the product has also come down, and as a result of that, prices of goods and services have also not increased in the same proportion as they were in the pre-liberalization period. So, because manufacturing of anything is not difficult at all, having a plant capacity of any size is not difficult at all. Most important and the most difficult thing is selling that production in the market. Means how you can sell that production in the market. Are you able to pass it on to the customers? Is sufficient market available for your production which you are producing? Are you able to sell that in the market or not? So, we have to find out that if you want to lower down the total investment cost, you should have the plants of the bigger capacity, and for that purpose you should try to add so many values to your product that people are readily accepting your product and you are able to have the larger chunk of the market. If it happens, then what will happen? Total cost of production of the per unit of the product will come down, and if the total cost comes down, price will also come down. So, you will have the sizable market share, and if you have the sizable market share, it means in that case overall sustenance of the firm increases, overall sustenance of the project increases, and firm is able to have the sufficient revenue, because whatever they are manufacturing that is going to the market easily, they are able to sell it off in the market easily because people are ready to accept the product. So, investment requirements on the one side, plant capacity on the other side, production coming out of that plant is the third say aspect, and the most important fourth aspect is selling that production in the market, making the people to accept, giving the reason to the people to accept your product. If it is good in quality, if it is lesser in price, if it is good fulfilling the requirements of the people, certainly with the minimum efforts you will be able to maximize your sales. So, $1,000,000 question is, it's not a production, but selling the production in the market, and if you are able to sell as much as or maybe the maximum production in the market, you can have the plants of the bigger capacity. If you have the plants of the bigger capacity, you are making more investments, but the investment cost will also come down. Production cost per unit will also come down, and consequently the prices will also be under control. If you are able to control the price of your production, in that case you are able to capture the larger chunk of the market or larger share of the market. So, in this entire process, when you talk about this entire process, so apart from the investment requirement, there are other aspects also. So, plant capacity, as I told you in the beginning of this discussion, is going to be influenced by technological requirement, input constraints, and then the investment cost. After that, the other important considerations are the market conditions, resources of the firm, and the government policy. Market condition, as I was just telling you, I was discussing with you that production is one thing, but selling that production in the market is the other thing and the most important thing. So, you can produce whatever is the requirement of the market. You have the raw material also, because as we have seen that if there is no constraints, if there are no constraints in terms of the inputs, if all kind of inputs are available, and you can have the investment also, you can make the sufficient investment in the plant capacity also. But is it possible for you, are the market conditions favorable for you to sell that product in the market? Are you able to sell that product in the market easily, pass on that product in the market easily? That's a $1 million question. So, production is one thing, selling that product in the market is other thing. So, production is in our hands as an entrepreneur, but selling or receiving that product is not 100% in our hands. For that purpose, you have to understand the market, you have to understand the customers, you have to understand the customer requirements, and finally you have to maybe giving something to the customers which prompts them to accept your product, or maybe the service which is coming out of your venture. So, they are ready to accept that, they are ready to welcome that, to receive that, to buy that, to pay for that. And if it all happens, so both ways, you are producing also, there are no constraints, you are selling also, there is a demand in the market. So, it is a win-win situation for the entrepreneur also, it is a win-win situation for the customers also, and everywhere we are able to produce and we are able to sell in the market. So, it is an important consideration. Plant capacity is equally affected by the market capacity, or maybe the buying capacity of the people and selling capacity of the firm. If the firm is able to sell maximum production in the market, you can have the plant of a bigger capacity. The resources of the firm, yes, is another important consideration. Means these 2 points, when you talk about investment cost and resources, they are interlinked. So, if you want to increase the plant capacity, you have to make more investments, but that investment will come from where? From the resources of the firm. And if it is a new venture, especially for example, take the help of, maybe take the example that it is a startup. So, your resources are very limited, and you are also not sure about whether the product would be a success or a failure in the market. So, in that case, your resources are limited. When you go to even the venture capitalists, angel investors, or maybe the private equity partners, they would also not be very sure whether this venture is going to see the success or going to see the failure. Even if it is an existing firm who is going for, say, expansion, diversification and growth, so they will also be very carefully going ahead. So, resources, number one, sometimes you do not have sufficient resources. So, plant capacity would be certainly influenced, and you cannot have the plant capacity or the plant of the capacity which is more than your resources. And sometimes you have resources, because we are already existing firm, we have the existing business, we have the existing firm, we have the resources for the growth, diversification and expansion, but we are not sure to sell that product in the market, or we will be able to pass on that product in the market in the quantity which we desire to pass it on. In that case, despite having the resources, we are not able to have the plants of the bigger capacities. We would be increasing the plant capacity in the phased manners if the product becomes a success. So, sometimes resources become a constraint, sometimes the resources do not become a constraint, but resources are an important consideration in deciding the plant capacity. And if you have the resources, but not sure that whether production coming out of that plant will be going to the market smoothly, then you knowingly keep the plant capacity lower, and later on you use the resources to increase that plant capacity and to manage the markets accordingly. Lastly, the government policy. Certain products are there which are welcome products even under the government policy also. Sometimes government want to increase the production of the products. For example, recently we had, let's say, campaigns that these plastic products are not good, or maybe the say this plastic bags are totally banned now. Nobody can use them for any kind of packaging or for any kind of carrying of the products from the market to home or vice versa. So the government policy is against the plastic or against the polythene bags. But there was a time when government supported this product, and all the polythene bags manufacturing as well as the selling in the market was supported by the government, and plastic products were supported by the government. So these days, because government policies keep on changing over a period of time, so these days government insists for that we cannot use the plastics for the sustenance of the environment, and for the environmental reasons we have to have the eco-friendly packaging materials. So government policy is in that direction these days. It is against the polythene or the plastic products, and it's in favor of the eco-friendly products. Your bags, you are seeing that these are the eco-friendly bags, which can be maybe either, if you want to have even the plastic bag, there should be something like that which have the multiple uses. You do not use and throw it in the open so that it becomes an environmental hazard. It's not like that. Normally, if you want to have that one-time packaging material or bags, you will have to use that biodegradable material. Means those bags should be made of the biodegradable material. Only then you can safely use it. If you want to use the plastic material, that should have the multiple uses so that you do not waste it in the public, you do not cause the environmental hazard to anyone, maybe to the humans, to the animals or anyone. So you see the government policies. There was a time when the government supported the polythene bags manufacturing, plastic products manufacturing, and all kind of the plastic packaging materials. And nowadays, because we have seen that plastic is not good for our environment, so government policy has gone against it. Nobody can manufacture the polythene bags, nobody can sell the polythene material, nobody can largely sell and manufacture the plastic packaging materials. Now we have to go for the biodegradable materials. So government policy we have to align with. Every year we see some documents that the annual budget which the Government of India presents, the annual budget, that clearly states that these industries are going to be supported by the government, and other industries may not be supported, may not be discouraged, but the support government policy says that government want to support these industries in terms of the tax concessions or in terms of any kind of other incentives. There is another important document, economic survey. Every year economic survey comes, and it has a very clear outline that how we have performed in the past economically, how we are going to perform in the time to come, what would be the growth rate of Indian economy, and maybe there can be some direction we can draw from economic survey, that which industries are going to be supported by the government or through which sectors we are going to grow in the time to come. Recently, the government policy is all out for that semiconductor industry. Government want to have that semiconductors, and they are supporting. Private sector is also being invited to participate in the semiconductor manufacturing process, and government want to go for manufacturing and maybe controlling or maybe encouraging the manufacturing of the semiconductors and supporting the semiconductor industry. Tata Group or maybe some private sector companies have come forward with the government, and they have decided to set up the plants in some parts of the country. In some plant in Assam, Gujarat, they are going to set up the plants or the units who will be manufacturing the semiconductors. So if anybody working in that sector, that will be supported automatically, will be supported by the government. But if anybody not working in those sectors may not be discouraged by the government, but government support may not be up to that extent. So plant capacity is a very critical issue, very critical component, and for deciding the plant capacity, all these factors are important. So plant capacity will be helping us to produce the product in the market, or any amount of the production can be done if the input constraints are not there, raw material constraints are not there, or any kind of the limiting factors are not there. But the $1,000,000 question is, can we sell that product or the total production coming out of that plant in the market or not? If we are not able to sell, so it will be a limiting factor, and plant capacity will be decided as per the selling capacity of the or saleability of the product in the market, selling capacity of the firm or the saleability of the product in the market. So accordingly, we will be deciding the plant capacity. So here we could discuss certain important components of the technical analysis, and apart from this plant capacity or investment requirements, we will be talking about the other aspects also. So the further discussion on the civil works or on the maybe the site and location or other important components of the technical analysis, they are also very interesting and very useful and very desirable components for the discussion, but we will be taking up this discussion forward in the next class. So for the moment, we will stop here, And as far as the technical analysis is concerned, we have talked about certain important components, and the most important component we talked in this class was plant capacity. And we all understand that deciding the plant capacity is influenced by number of factors, and all these factors are listed out here, and we discussed all these factors in detail. Subsequent discussion on the technical analysis we would have in the next class. Till then, thank you very much.